Hi, it's Sophie from the Isabel Craft Collection. I'm going to show you another heat embossing technique. I think it's called intaglio, but it's also basically heat embossing and stamping into molten embossing powder. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what I've done and then I'll show you a completed card. I just want to show you this pack of stamps, so they're amazing. I just think they're amazing. I'm going to get some in the next couple of months because we're heading slowly but surely towards autumn. I'm going to get some of these. They're the Indigo Blue Nature 2, and I've used that stamp down the side. That one, and the main image I'm going to use is the hedgehog. Just adorable stamps, just beautifully etched in red rubber. Okay, just wanted to show you that because it's quite exciting. Okie dokie, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to create molten embossing powder. Now you're meant to use UTEE, which is ultra thick embossing powder, but I'm just going to show you if you've got some ordinary powder and it's not detailed embossing powder, then it's fine. Just use some cheap embossing powder in it and it does the job. Okay, so I'm just using heated up gold embossing powder, but I'd recommend Cosmic Shimmer. Okay, so you get your rather dodgy looking Versamark pad, which now mine's looking really bad because I'm using it a lot, but anyway, that's fine. And you literally put the embossing powder, the embossing ink onto a square of card. It doesn't really matter what colour the card is because it's going to be covered up anyway. Okay, so you then get your trusty bit of copy paper and pour, I'm going to get my heat embossing gun on now to start warming up, and then you pour your embossing powder on where you put Versamark. Okay, get rid of that. So there's the embossing powder not heated up yet. Pour this back and start heating it. So move that out of the way. So check this out as it turns, a different colour, it's really cool. So it's just heating up and going molten. So it looks really cool as it changes colour from quite a dull gold to really bright gold actually. So that's that. Then I'm going to add my Versamark again, so let that cool a little bit. And then my Versamark, which is a clear embossing powder, I recommend perfect medium though, to be fair. But I'm going to put another layer of Versamark, and this time I'm going to show you what happens when you heat from the bottom. So I'm going to pour more gold embossing powder onto there. Okay, over that. Tap off the excess. Pour the excess back. So this is the most long-winded bit of the video basically, and then after that it kind of gets speeds up a bit. So I'm going to go again. But this time I'm going to heat it from the bottom. I'll try and show you. Oops. Can you see that? See, it's much smoother when you do it from underneath. So pick it up the other end and carry on heating. Oops. Fluffing about a bit. And then to give it more impact, I'm just going to let that dry. So remember, this is a piece of black card. I think it's about 7 by 7 centimetres, 8 by 8 centimetres, and then you put, I'm going to do this one more time, but you can do it as many times you like, but obviously seeing me do this lots of times isn't particularly exciting, so final time, and I'm going to do it from underneath again. So get your piece of copy paper, pour your heat embossing powder, your embossing powder on, tap off the excess. So look at that dull gold that it is at the moment, really sort of dull coloured gold. I do have to say I like this colour, but I prefer detail embossing powder on the whole. But for this technique, brilliant. Okay, so I'll get my trusty tweezers. Okay, so I'll just grip that, heat from the bottom. And see as it changes, it's quite cool. So just heat that up. Don't burn yourself. Okay, I'm going to. It's really burning. Oh God.
What?
Think I'm, yeah. Keep going. It from the bottom. And heat it from the top now. Right, and now I'm going to heat it up until it's still really hot. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to add my Versamark. So just turn this off for a minute. I'm going to put Versamark onto my stamp. Okay, ready, because you've got to do this fairly quickly. Right, get this going so it's sort of molten and it's moving about a bit. So you want to see it almost moving slightly. You know that it's molten. And then quickly stamp into the stamp. And if this hasn't worked, it's fine. I've got a backup to show you. Give it some welly. And then hopefully, yeah, that's good. Okay, what I've got there is basically the image of the hedgehog, and it's kind of indenting into the molten embossing powder. I probably would do another layer, but that'll do. So I'll just show you what I've done. So with that stamp set, on this card, what I've done, I've stamped the edge stamp. And this is, I think this is a learning experience, really. This is something important you need to learn. For this was not the right kind of embossing powder. Now this embossing powder is fine for the technique that I've just done, so the intaglio technique, but it hasn't, you can't really see that those are leaves. This is where you need your detail embossing powder. So you've always got to use the right kind of, you've got to use the right equipment basically. This is fine for this technique, but for a nice detailed stamp, don't use that kind of, you need your Cosmic Shimmer detail embossing powder. Again, you can sort of see this image, but it would have been better if it had been done in a detail embossing powder. So we'll talk about that, and I've done a little, the snail's fine because these are solid, but the more detailed stamps need a detail embossing powder. Okay, so I used the Sue Wilson Noble dies, the ornate pierced squares. And what I did was I cut out the outer edge and then this edge as well to create this spectacular like dotted pierced outside and then this really nice detailed outer edge. I then cut the next die in, and I've put some sticky tape on that, so I'll just take the sticky tape off. So, and what I've used is the foundations card that is in the neutral colours, and I sometimes have those in the sale, so I might get some more. So I'll pop that on the top, okay. there. The next layer is just a square of card that I decided to use, just a little bit bigger than my image. And what I did there is I ran it through with a Crafts 2 embossing folder. So just to give a bit of texture, really. I love this one. It's like a lattice diamond design. So I put that in the middle. Then I get my spectacular intaglio image. Get the scissors. Put some foam tape on the back. One bit there and one bit there. And put that down. Okay. So I'm going to put, oops, it's not coming off everywhere. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to put my image in the middle there. So I just think he's cool. I just think it's cool. I love this technique. Okay, and then I use my olive branch die from Sue Wilson and get my glue. Okay, I'm going to put a bit of glue on the back and on the top. I'm going to shove that in, I think, under there. Okay, I'm going to put the little weeny one on top, like there, and actually I'm going to make it go up a little bit like that, and then I'm going to put the other olive branch on the other side, like so. Okay, just up the side there. Okay, so that's obviously got to dry. I might have done some more layers and such like, but I'll leave that. So what you've got there is a really interesting technique where you've stamped into molten embossing powder, and I'll show you one that perhaps came out slightly better. I think it's this one. This one, possibly it was the different embossing powder. This is on silver, and that's come out really well as well. So yeah, hopefully you might try this technique out, because it's a bit different and I think it creates a really cool looking image. So that's the completed card, okay, and I might think of yet another heat embossing powder video. I'll have a think. Okay, so thanks very much. Okay, bye.